And folks, join me in welcoming our leadoff guest tonight. Baylor men's golf coach Mike McGraw is with us. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, John.
Great to see you.
It's great to be here.
You were here earlier than me, I think, tonight, weren't you?
Well, I was pretty hungry.
This is the place to come.
This is the place to go.
You had little ribs, you had a little sausage,
some turkey. I had it all.
Woo, man,
yeah,
that's great.
Really good.
All right, there's an unsolicited testimonial for the food here at Rudy's. We like coming here. We like it when you're here. Thanks for being here with us this evening. And let's talk about your team. Let's start by talking about your team. A lot of young guys, it seems like you've got on your team and in your lineup right now.
We do have a young team. You know, when you graduate 3 COVID fifth-year seniors, and we had a really great senior class last year, so you know you're going to be a little younger the next year, and we are younger. We have at least one freshman in the lineup, sometimes 2, and a couple of sophomores and a senior. So it's been a pretty young team so far.
Gotcha. A couple of events already here in the fall, the Gopher Invitational, and then up in Chicago last week.
Right. We got to go to the Gopher, which is Windsong Farm, a really great golf course. Did not play particularly well there, nor did we play well at Olympia Fields, one of my favorite places anywhere. I just love that place. And even when we played poorly, you still have a lot to be thankful for. It's a great opportunity to compete on a U.S. Open golf course.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. You do like that one. I've heard you say that before about Olympia Fields.
Yeah.
Weather? How was the weather up in Chicago?
Absolutely perfect.
Was it?
It was flawless. It was 82 degrees, sunny, no wind.
Ooh.
About as good as you can get in Chicago.
Pretty nice. Great. So we're in the fall. The majority of your schedule will be in the spring. What do you want to get done? What do you like to get accomplished in the fall?
Well, some of these young kids, I'd like to see them get a little more seasoning. We have 2 or 3 more tournaments, including a junior varsity event. We actually have 3 events left. And knowing that we have an off season that will give you 3 more months to get ready before we go to Palm Springs in February. So we didn't start the year like we wanted, but we don't have to finish there. And I know the guys understand we got a lot more in the tank than what we've given so far, and so we're really excited about it.
Good. Your timing here with us is perfect because you've got Big 12 match play next week. Tell us about that.
Well, it's at a golf course called Houston Oaks, which is not really in Houston. It's in Hockley, which is between College Station and Houston. And we've been very successful there through the years. We've won the Big 12 match play twice, and last year we lost in the finals to the University of Texas. So we seem to get up for that event. It's a fun event. You get to actually play 5 rounds of golf competitively in 3 days. And you're actually paired with one of your teammates. You're not competing against your teammate. He's playing a match and you're playing a match. But that's a unique format because you don't get to play a competitive event with a teammate very often in golf.
That's great. And what is it? How would you explain your success there? I mean, y'all have been very successful.
Well, I'd like to say it's coaching, but, but the players aren't going to say that. It's not really coaching. It's an event. I think anytime you believe that the event is good for you, you can kind of talk the guys into that. But match play is such an interesting animal because every single hole you're putting to either keep from losing the hole or to tie the hole or to win the hole. There's an outcome on every single green, so there's a lot of dramatics. And we have been playing a lot of match play here at home. So we've been trying to prepare for that and doing tons of work on short game. And because putting is such a big part of match play, you want to make sure that you're probably putting as well as you can. We had a great practice today. I was really happy with what the guys did today. So it's an event that I love, and so I think maybe if the coach says it's a good thing, maybe as a player you can think the same.
Is the format being match play, does that kind of stoke the competitive juices a little bit?
It does. You know, you talk to a player about match play, you're standing on the first tee, and there's only one thing you have to do. It's not there's no question, there's no mystery. You just need to take that guy down across the tee box from you. That's the guy. And so if you've prepared mentally for that and you believe in yourself, you're at least going to be in the game. But that's your only job that day. Don't worry about anything else or anybody else.
And what do the groups look like? If you play with one of your teammates, are there 2 other guys? Is it 4-man?
There's 4 in a group.
Okay.
So let's say you're the 2-man, you're playing a 2-man from that school,
Gotcha.
and your teammate's a 3-man on the team. He's playing their 3-man in a match. 2 separate matches in the same group.
In the same group. Gotcha. And Houston Oaks, I know you really like that course also, don't you?
It's a wonderful golf course, but what makes it great for this event, it's got a lot of risk-reward holes. So par 5s you can easily reach in 2, but there's water hazards around the green. A couple of drivable par 4s. Beautiful, beautiful 250 to 300-year-old oak trees, just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous place, but it's a risk-reward, a perfect match play golf course.
Wow. Matt Roberts is here from Athletic Communications. Matt reminds me that Zach Heffernan went a perfect 5-0 last year.
He did. Zach is back this year as a senior, and Zach is really excited about playing in the match play.
Yeah.
There's only been 4 guys in the history of the NCAA or the Big 12 match play to go 5-0, and 3 of them are Baylor Bears.
Wow.
Colin Kober and Cooper Dossie did it a few years back, and then Zach last year. It's tough to go 5-0. I think one of the greatest records in the history of competitive golf, Tiger Woods won 3 straight U.S. Juniors and 3 straight U.S. Amateurs. He won 36 consecutive matches in USGA competition. It will never be touched at any – there's no chance that ever gets touched.
Good grief, 36 straight.
It just – you run into a buzzsaw, or your game is down a particular round or whatever. You can't win that many matches in a row. So for Zach to have gone 5-0 last year was a great accomplishment. Hopefully he can do the same.
Yeah, tremendous. He's got to have good feelings going back there,
and he's playing well right now, too.
Is that always at Houston Oaks, or does it move around some?
It's always been at Houston Oaks, and we just found out this week we got at least one more year. The next year they've moved the date off of the World Amateur because so many of the Big 12 teams had players competing in the World Amateur, so they've moved it 1 week later, which will be great for us.
Okay. And so that's next week, Big 12 match play, and then what else do you have?
2 weeks off, and then we've got the varsity going to Tulsa, Oklahoma for the Clerico, which is John Clerico, who the tournament's named after, is a good friend of mine. He was a big Oklahoma State donor, great guy, and he puts this tournament on for Oral Roberts, so he's doing a real nice job there. But the junior varsity will be at Dallas Baptist at the same exact time.
Okay, so, and then that's it?
That's it for the fall.
For the fall. Back to the Houston Oaks, the Big 12. Matt also tells me y'all stay in host homes down there. What's that like?
I tell a little boy from Ponca City, Oklahoma, to get to stay in one of those places. It's quite amazing. There are some beautiful, beautiful homes. Some of the most beautiful homes I've ever seen on a golf course, and they're not right up on the course. They're pushed back a little bit in and amongst those oak trees that are there. And, yes, we stay at the Baggett's home, and it's just a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful home, and it's right there on property. So we get to Houston Oaks, you never leave property, and eat all your meals there and play the golf there, and it's a really, really good situation.
Oh, what a great experience.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Man, that is cool. All right, very good. Good luck there. That's coming up next week. What's the schedule? What's the first round?
Okay, we're going to play 36 holes, so 2 rounds on Monday.
Okay.
18, all the teams will play in the morning. We'll use Tuesday afternoon as catch-up, weather, delays, extra hole matches, that type of thing. And then you're playing in pool competition. There's 4 pools, and the winner of each pool goes into Wednesday morning semifinals and then Wednesday afternoon finals. But we play 5 matches regardless.
Okay,
so
good. Max Monday through Wednesday next week.
Wednesday's over with,
What about, let me ask you about the new Big 12, the new look Big 12. What are these schools coming in add to the league?
Well, I will tell you this. Everybody thought because we lost Texas and Oklahoma, which I don't know, is it good riddance? Who knows? I don't know what the other coaches are saying. But those were 2 great golf programs that left the conference. Exactly. But Arizona and Arizona State take no backseat to what just left. So that's a great and actually, honestly, Utah and Colorado are both great programs in golf. So, I would say if you went top to bottom, we haven't lost anything. And really, Arizona State, they're the number 1 ranked team in the country right now. So it's like, I don't think we lost much.
Well, there you go.
They're great programs that went to the SEC, but plenty happy with the Big 12 conference.
Will you cross paths? Will all of them be there next week for the Big 12 match play?
All except for Arizona. They had already committed to play a tournament in Scotland, so they can't be here this year. They couldn't get out of the contract. But there'll be 15 teams.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Continuing with Coach Mike McGraw, Baylor men's golf coach, our first guest this evening. Coach, we got questions from the audience. We'll do that next segment. But we'll actually do one right now because it leads into what we wanted to talk about. Roy Evans says, how is Johnny Kiefer doing in his first year? Boy, what a layup that is. Tell us how Johnny Kiefer is doing.
Yeah, Roy, Johnny's arguably the best golfer that ever played at Baylor. I think a lot of people could argue maybe Ryan Baccia or Kyle Jones or Jimmy Walker or Cooper Dossie. But Johnny's the first 3-time All-American at Baylor, and there's a lot of great things to like about Johnny. He's going to be one of the most popular guys on the PGA Tour, in my opinion. But he missed the first half of the PGA Tour America season because we were still playing college golf. So he didn't get to play any of those events. 2 weeks after the national championship, he plays in his first event. He played in 10 events and was in the top 5 9 times. Just kind of unbelievable. But an interesting story that you don't know about this, we were at Nationals, and we'd missed the cut to make match play. So we played on the final day but couldn't make match play. And so Johnny and Luke Dossie and his parents and Tyler Eisenhart and his parents, they took me out to dinner that night to celebrate 5 great years together. And Johnny thought he had finished 26th on the PGA Tour University, which is outside the number. You had to finish in the top 25 to get status. And my phone is right there at the table, and I get a text that says top 25, and Johnny Kiefer's number 25. I looked at it. I just put it across the table, and he's reading that, and he's looking at it, and then all of a sudden this smile appears, and he looks at his dad, and he says, I've got a job. He couldn't believe he had a job. And he made the most of it. He seized his opportunity and was number 1 on the Fortnite Cup this year. I mean, I've never seen anybody play. He averaged for 43 rounds, he averaged 66.0.
Good grief.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable golf. So
that's
how he's doing, Roy, so far.
Yeah. Roy, the answer is he's doing very well for himself. And what a great guy, too. Don't you I mean, anybody that knows him pulls for him.
I think when he finally gets on the PGA Tour, and I think he'll spend hopefully just 1 year on the Korn Ferry Tour, I think he'll be one of the most popular players, especially when he starts winning. He's got a smile ear to ear. He's genuine. He's a good kid. I mean, there's just not anything not to like about Johnny. His teammates loved him while he was here at Baylor. He treated them with a lot of respect, and I don't know. I think Johnny's going to be a great one.
That's so cool. 9 top 10 finishes in
top
the
5
10
finishes.
events.
Yep.
Top 5.
Yep.
4 runner-up finishes, 1 win, and this is a guy moving from college golf directly into this level of professional golf. Now, you've coached some good golfers in the past. Has anybody ever done that and had that much immediate success?
No, I mean, like even Charles Howell III or Ricky Fowler, they didn't come out and immediately they had to play a bunch of other tournaments to get that done, and they didn't have quite that success. I'm not comparing him to them necessarily, but what he did was unprecedented. It had not happened on that tour, I can tell you that. And so I think it speaks to how important status is. Having status on a tour, it's like gold. Because if you don't have status, he was prepared to play in many tour events, go and try to qualify on Monday to get in tournaments, try everything he could just to get his game ready for tour school this fall. And yet he had a place to play from day one, and he took advantage of it, and now he has a Korn Ferry Tour card.
So the top 25 finish, that's what gave him the status?
That's what gave him status on the PGA Tour Americas.
Okay.
And then from there you have to play really well enough to get a Korn Ferry card. You have to be one of the top 10 cards, and he was number 1. So. Good.
Explain to everyone, again, Korn Ferry and how that is the
step. Korn Ferry Tour is basically the tour that feeds into the PGA Tour. And so, but then now they have an actual pathway to get into professional golf called the PGA Tour University. And what's great about PGA Tour University, not only is it a pathway for the players to go from college golf to professional golf without having to wait your turn, if you will. If you're one of the best college players, you should play as a professional immediately. But you cannot get that status unless you come back for your senior year. So 99% of these guys are coming back and getting a degree at their school, which I think is fantastic. Yeah. It's the one-and-done deal is not a part of that. It's like if a kid plays 3 years and he's a good player, he's going to play 1 more year to get that status. He's not going to quit after 3 years with no status.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. I mean, that is a great incentive, isn't it, to come back and get your degree?
I think it's fantastic. And in Johnny's case, he came back as a fifth-year COVID person. He got a double major, so major in management on top of the accounting degree he already had.
That is so great. You had him on your podcast. Was that last week?
Just a week ago, yeah.
Okay. Better Than I Found It's the name of the podcast.
Better Than I Found It.
All right, so go find that and hear Coach with Johnny Kiefer there. We had him on our Sikkim podcast. That was back, I don't know, summer, I guess, or pretty soon right up. Maybe it was back in the spring, right before he had graduated. So is he, I don't want to get too personal here, but is he making money already, or is there money to be made at
Johnny,
this level?
Yeah, he's made almost $250,000.
Is that right?
Well, he played, he didn't make that much on that tour, but he played in one PGA Tour event a couple of weeks ago and finished 13th and made $88,000. And not that money matters, but it's like he finishes a tournament and they give him a check. I mean, it's money, you know. the status is probably more important than the cash right now. And so if he'd have finished 3 spots higher, he would have been in the next tour event. So top 10 gets you in the next week.
Wow, but he finished 13th in that PGA event.
He did.
That is great. We talked to him recently. PGA Tour set up a Zoom call with Jerry Hill and I, and we talked to him. And I said, what bag are you carrying? And he said, let me show you. So he took the Zoom around and showed us his bag. You know what it looks like, right?
Oh, yeah. He's got that swinging bear on
yes,
there,
he does. Yeah. Titleist. He's with Titleist.
Yep.
So a Titleist bag, and it's got the swinging bear, swinging Billy on the club. What's that worth to have this guy with that bag out there?
Right, it's going to be worth a lot. But the fact is, it tells me that his 5 years here were great. He loved being here. He's proud to be a Baylor Bear, and he'll carry that. Cooper Dossie is wearing it on his golf bag, and Kyle Jones, who just became my new assistant coach, used it all the past 5 or 6 years on the Korn Ferry Tour as well. Yeah.
That is great. Yeah. That is so cool. Well, fun to watch. What would be next for him? Is he in a break now for Johnny Kiefer?
Yeah, for Johnny, he's probably going to go to tour school because he's got status on the Korn Ferry, but what he wants to do is see if he can up that status a little bit by playing well at tour school. He's still got a place to play on the Korn Ferry next year, but he's going to go to tour school. I bet he gets a few exemptions at some point along the way on the PGA Tour and just take advantage of those. When you hit it 330 right down the middle and you putt really well and you've learned to wedge it well, you're going to be a good player.
Sounds like Ben Hagens to me.
It sounds a lot like Ben Hagens to me.
Well, that is so cool. You tell him next time you talk to him how proud we are of him, and the way he represents Baylor is just so great.
Yeah, I think he's easy to pull for. He'll be a great ambassador for Baylor for many, many years.
Welcome back on the Baylor Coaches Show, presented by Central National Bank. We are live at Rudy's on the Circle in Waco. We continue one more segment with Coach Mike McGraw, Baylor men's golf coach. Mitch Thompson joins us top of the hour. We'll talk Baylor baseball. If you have any questions for Mitch, just leave those and we'll let you hit him up. That would be fun
you
to
think
do.
That'd be fun? Okay.
Yeah, that would be fun. But we've got questions for you from the audience. First off, I mentioned an author in the room, a published author. Congratulations to Ben Hagens. There's a copy of his new book just out.
Yeah, Ben wrote a book, I believe about 10 years ago when I first got to Baylor, and I got a copy of that one. And this one's called My Favorites from A to Z.
Okay.
And it's 111 poems and stories that are his favorite stories that he's had through the years. It's really well. I'm only on page 50 right now, but enjoying it quite well.
Very good. Yeah. Ben, congratulations on that. You say it's just flying off the shelves. Is that right? I'm sure that's true. Order another box. But congratulations on that. You've got a book also, your first book, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Better Than I Found It.
Several years ago, wrote Better Than I Found It. And, I have another one in the making. It's kind of excited about that. But that's probably a retirement book. Who knows?
Okay. Well, maybe some of these questions will end up in your next book.
Certainly.
Let's begin with Steve Van Wagner. Steve is right there. Steve asked, why do you follow one player instead of skipping around?
Okay. Most of the time I will just follow one player. I'll catch him on the first tee and take him all the way to the 18th green. The main reason I do that is to find out as much about that player as I can, how he handles the good things, how he handles the bad things, what kind of decisions he makes. I just get to learn a lot more about him, and then I can coach him better later on. I won't necessarily follow him all the time, but we get to have really interesting and meaningful conversations after the tournament is over because I witnessed every shot. Yeah. So that's part of the reason I do it, to learn more, build a relationship with the player. I do it with freshmen a lot just because they're brand new to the game.
I think you've said this before. Some guys respond better to having you with them compared to others who
If somebody doesn't want me there, I am going to stay away. But like my assistant coach might do the same, or he might bounce around, or occasionally I'll bounce around as well. It just depends on what we're doing. But I do it to find out as much about a player as I can so that coaching him in the future is a lot easier.
Yeah, very good. All right, good question, Steve. Thank you.
Steve.
Bobby on the back row right over here says, what's the most challenging part of coaching golf?
Probably the most challenging thing about coaching golf is you've got an individual who, by its very nature, golf is a very individual sport. It's not meant to be in a team atmosphere. And here we are putting 11 individuals into a team atmosphere. So that's probably the hardest thing about it. And so what you have to do is coach a kid individually, but get him in the framework of a team. So the culture of the teamwork. But I don't think I should have to practice the game the same way you do. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to probably let them all be individuals, but they have to understand that being on the team is a huge, huge advantage and a value.
That's great. That's very well said. All right, next from Gordon. Gordon is right back there, fresh haircut. Gordon says, Coach, you've been a head coach almost 20 years. How many more seasons? Will Baylor be fortunate enough to have you here?
You got Mac Rhodes on the phone? No, I've got a contract through 2028. We'll just see what happens then. If we're no good, they probably should just push me to the side. If we're good, they might want me to hang around. But regardless, as long as I'm enjoying it, as long as I think I'm relevant or doing a good job and making a difference, I'll stay.
That's a great answer.
Yep.
That is perfect. All right, Bob Barrett. Bob is right there. Bob asked, is NIL a big factor in men's golf?
I wouldn't call it NIL a big factor in men's golf, but it's there. And it has kind of affected the way recruiting is going, and unfortunately, it's also got a little bit of the tampering going on in the portal and different things like that. So it isn't perfect. It's not perfectly clean. I don't have any problem with a kid getting some sort of remuneration money from their name, image, and likeness. But I want the coaches to be on the up and up with it.
Yeah,
so sometimes it's not like that.
Tampering, a story for another day, right?
A story for another day. But I do have a wonderful story about a player that I think when the time is right, I'd love to tell it.
For another day. Good question, Bob. Thank you. Lizette Berry is right here. She asked, can someone transfer in golf midterm?
Mid-year, like January, yes, they can. And there'll be some this year with the new legislation sort of on the horizon of roster limits. There's potential for college golf. We don't know when it's going to happen, pretty soon, and I think that the transfer portal will be full of a lot of kids who have to get onto other teams because of that. But yes, you can transfer mid-semester, mid-year.
Yeah. Portal is a big deal to you guys.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal.
I guess every sport it is now.
Yeah.
All right, final question from best-selling author Ben Hagens. Ben says, what college tournament would you like to play in that is not on your usual lineup?
Great question, Ben. Probably the Southern Highlands Collegiate in Las Vegas. When I was at Oklahoma State, I took a team there every year, and we just haven't been able to crack into that tournament. It's one of the most unusual experiences in college golf because they play a golf course that's like nothing you've ever seen, with greens as firm as this table and faster than this table. So it's very unusual, but I'd love to get that tournament. It's a great field also. Now, they've got it opposite of Cabo, where we're going to Cabo, and if I took kids away from that Cabo trip, they'd have it in for me.
It is Las Vegas, though.
And Las Vegas is okay, but it's not Cabo.
How much water do they have to pour on that course?
Literally, they call it the Augusta National of that.
Really?
Because it's just perfectly green. It's wonderful, but it's a great field, an unusual golf experience that I enjoyed when I was at Oklahoma State. So maybe I can get the Bears there one day.
Very good. That sounds great. All right, next week, Big 12 match play down in Houston. Good luck to you there. We'll watch how you do and watch your results. You got the magic thumb. I mean, you've got the potion to do well there. So
I like that place.
Good luck.
Yeah,
very good.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you, John.